Hey, it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We're zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth on understanding the role of projection that a malignant narcissist or a psychopath will engage in order to manipulate and control their victims. Really get into the psychological core of that person's cognition, their thought process, their evaluation of self, their flow of thoughts, their flow of emotion, their proper decision-making process, which is really natural and inherent, and the natural state of peace and happiness and contentment. Really the sort of emotional body of happiness, which is really the natural resting state, which oftentimes is disturbed, dismantled, or has a pattern disconnect, a misalignment once one is surrounded by, manipulated by, or abused by a malignant narcissist or a psychopath who will use the state of negative projection. And negative projection is an emotional feeling. It is something that you might describe as tension. And if you look at tension, it's when there's two opposing forces that are at one another. So, and it's oftentimes at a battle, a conflict consciousness where one wants to be above another. They want to maintain a sense of pathological self-importance in any situation, whether it's dinner, breakfast, lunch, decorating, work, driving. They always want to have the upper hand. They want to rule with the iron fist. They want to basically use a sort of steamrolling sort of emotional projection, which is energetically emitted from this being. So in other words, it is within an emotion, which is energy in motion. And that is part of the fuel. So as you know, part of being a human is a human being. So it's in a negative B state. So the origination from this, if you can understand, it's coming from an insecurity, and the deep roots can be very deep. The roots can come from their childhood. It can come from their assessment of life, their community, the world at large. It is a negative perspective with which they are battling, and that fuels or creates an energetic vibration which you can feel, you can sense through their thought patterns, which are oftentimes functioning as a pattern interrupt to you. So when you're about to complete a sentence, complete a feeling, complete an inspiration, complete a desire, there's going to be a pattern interrupt where there is an interjection, which then creates disorder in feeling, thoughts, behaviors, and is disengaged from the congruency not only of the body, the emotional body, but also the thought process. The thought process within every individual has an emotion, a behavior, and then a choice, which operates in the prefrontal cortex. And when you are in a state of contentment or just at peace in your element, in your passion, in your gift, and life begins to flow, there's a congruency between all these levels. And then you're able to enter into the quantum field where the house of information is stored. So in other words, you can make decisions easily. You feel like you want to exercise. You feel a natural inclination to health, happiness. Your relationships have a flow. There's respect. Now, this interjection or this disconnect is basically like, it functions like a derailing where they are trying to supersede or really kind of take you over at a psychological core. And you need to realize that even looking at them takes in a sensory manner your experience with them. So you're then ingesting this negative energy. You're taking it in because the eyes, the eyes take in information, the ears, the nose, the skin organ, all this is taken in and then disrupts your performance, disrupts your vision, and disengages you from that ability to see and make choices and live in that quantum field where you're able to make positive choices and for yourself, for others, life begins to flow. So again, it's a pattern interrupt, which is a negative projection. So they are going to ascribe or falsely accuse you with very specific information which they are at fault of. So based on their insecurity, that negative projection for them is going to become very automatic, very like a knee-jerk reaction, and have a very negative force to it. So it is a force, it is not a power. I'm going to repeat that. It is a force, not a power. There's a big difference. And if you muscle test this experience, you will see that kinesthetically your body knows automatically the difference between power versus force. And power is positive. We do have power. We do have power to create. We do have power to expand and grow and be in an abundant state. But we will be truncated by a negative person who tries to use force. And David Hawkins, in his book, Power versus Force, goes into great detail on this, but furthermore, he looks at the kinesthetic experience of that and goes into muscle testing and how the body will respond, once you elicit a word or an image, which the body instinctively knows. So if you were to reach your arm out and have somebody press lightly down on your hand, I'm going to put my hand out like this, that is called muscle testing. And if somebody were to say nature, and then how your arm would respond would resonate differently than if you were to say pollution. Your arm would go down. It would be in a state of weakness. And that is just the tip of the iceberg of what, Dr. David Hawkins has muscle tested several different images, people, ingredients, everything from sugar versus artificial sugar, people, places, events, and you can muscle test these. So it's kinesthetically ingrained in your body. So as we talk about, that is the seat of the subconscious where you really want to get in there and understand how your body muscle tests with this person, the things that they say, their interjection, and you can feel it in your body. So if you're looking for a place to go, your body has all the knowledge. And so as we're saying in the previous video, when you take out that thorn or that negative projection, your body will be in its natural state where it can feel, think, behave positively, energetically, and productively, and you'll get back to the state of choice, the state of dreaming, kind of your vision for yourself, which you really need to assist yourself and be supportive of yourself in these, and you need to do this on a daily basis. And so when you look at this negative projection and how it tries to dismantle you, realize that that is all it is, and you can really disengage that by not looking at it, not feeling it, not reacting to it, not ingesting it. So, and then speaking into existence that which what you want or you're continuing to do. And so when you write these things down, I want you to really begin to look at it, because you begin to have a vision with the eyes first. And so begin to see clearly the positivity, even if positive means something very small and simple, such as not responding, not looking, not flinching, calming the body down, and to realize that this is what has created the chaos and the disorder in your life. So you really need to continue with that positive, orderly direction in your thought, so you can begin to follow up with it, even if it's as simple as taking a quick walk or outside, calling a good friend, looking at some beautiful pictures. Take a very serious and earnest approach with yourself. And as we look here, I'm going to bring up the fact that you need to come to a state of seriousness. And I really want you to look here at the root word of serious. And bear with me one moment. I know we have some background, and I'm following my cursor. Bear with me one moment. Where did it go? Here it is. Okay. So when we talk about the emotional vibration of change, you need to get into an emotional vibration of what is known as serious. And serious is a subject, state, or activity of demanding careful consideration or application. So we all know when someone is serious. Okay? It is a solemn thought or character of manner. And it is also requires oftentimes deep reflection and inviting a considered response. A considered response. So consideration, I'm thoughtful, maybe I should think about that. This is a whole new step and a place for you to engage in. And we're going to be going more into this concept of requiring or inviting consideration. But I want you to understand the root of serious, which comes from the Latin sinus, and the Old French sérieux, and then the late Latin seriosus, which eventually evolved into the late Middle English serious. And the Latin origination, the serious, S-E-R-I-U-S, came from earnest. So serious and earnest. So if you've ever heard of earnest money, you know, that you might put down on a property, or to be in earnest, is the new energetic state that I want you to contemplate and incorporating into your repertoire of emotions when it comes to dealing with a malignant narcissist or a psychopath. You have to be in that state of seriousness and earnestness, which means basically, you know, to be very earnest. And I'm going to go to this and then we're going to wrap up, which is earnest is resulting from or showing sincere and intense conviction. So it is to be very sober in your consideration. So the emotional sobriety will come along with the number of tools that we discuss here on the channel and work through in the recovery journal. It is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.